Hey everyone, it's Jesse Green, your friend and colleague, and you're listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast. It's great to have you here. Now, last episode, we spoke about a hotel and some paracetamol, and I was going to tell you a story about that, and I will in a moment. But the concept I really want to impress upon you is called the recovery paradox. And what the recovery paradox really references is how well you handle a problem, because let's face it, problems always do occur. How well you handle that problem will dictate how well your customer responds to you thereafter. And what's interesting is if you handle a problem really well, you can actually create more loyalty than if no problem had occurred in the first place. It's weird, but it's true. Because most practice owners think about great marketing being all about attracting new patients. But today, I want to tell you that the best marketing might already be inside the four walls, and it could be how you handle mishaps, screw-ups, stuff-ups. So let's get to this story about the hotel. So the story goes like this. There was some guests at a hotel and they ate some food, and for whatever reason, the food made them unwell. Now, I don't know the nature of the illness, but the hotel went over and above. They went and got doctors in, they got some paracetamol, they did everything that they could to make these people feel better. Now, what's really interesting is the guests at the hotel obviously observed that the hotel was doing their very best to try and A, resolve their issue, but B, put in place measures to ensure that issue never occurred again. And as a result of the hotel doing that, the customers became some of their most loyal advocates. So let me tell you about the recovery paradox and how this occurred in our practice. We had a particular patient who we had messed around. We'd kept him waiting for an appointment longer than was needed. And while he was waiting, he went out to take a phone call. And whatever happened on that phone call, I don't know, but it was obviously not good, because when he came back, he was angry, he was wound up, he was yelling, he was screaming, he was calling us unprofessional and everything that you can think of. And what's really interesting is in the practice we had at the time, it was a very small fit out. We hadn't yet grown it, right? And so everyone could hear everything. And what we tried to do is to go above and beyond and make things right for him. And he stormed out of the practice and he was never coming back. And one of the things that came out of that is I just wanted to apologize. And when I was apologizing to him, I just wanted to make him right. And all I did was validate his feelings. Colin, his name was Colin, you have every right to feel the way you feel. We absolutely messed you around and I'm terribly sorry for that. And he still vented and he's still frustrated. But all I did was I didn't try to defend the indefensible. I just made him right. He said he was going to leave the practice. And I said to him this, Colin, I understand that you've made a choice to leave the practice. I totally respect that. Let me make your last interaction with our practice as good as it possibly can be. As soon as you get the records, or as soon as you get the notice to release the records, send that through to us and we'll make sure those records are released to you as quickly and as easily as possible. Clearly, there's not going to be any charge for that. We just want to make sure that your experience with us is as seamless as it can be from here. Now, we didn't ever get the records released. And one day Colin rang me and I was picking the kids up from school. And I got this phone call saying, Colin wants to talk to you. So anyway, I rang Colin, a little bit heart and mouth, and he had a toothache. And it was a Friday afternoon and it was late and he was in pain. And so I said to him, Colin, no problem. I've got the kids in the car with me. I'll take them home and I'll meet you down at the practice. And what we did was we got him out of pain that afternoon. Now, we just went over and above to try and make things right for him. And what happened is, A, Colin stayed in the practice, but B, he accepted the treatment that we'd recommended previously that he hadn't taken up, and he has since referred a lot of patients to the practice. And so it goes to show that if you handle the situation well and you can demonstrate that you're genuinely sorry for the mess up, you're trying to make amends for the mess up, and you're putting in place structures to ensure that that mess up never occurs again, most people are pretty forgiving. I'm sure we've all been on the end of mishaps and stuff-ups. It's someone else's business. But how those people recover from that will absolutely impact how we continue to frequent their business into the future. And it's the same with your patients too. So remember, don't fear a complaint. Complaints will come because you're human and you're going to make mistakes, right? But what you need to understand is that if you handle that complaint brilliantly, it can be the biggest loyalty generating machine in your practice. So when it comes to the recovery paradox, the number one skill your team needs to master is complaint handling. And by practicing it over and over, they're going to get really good at it. It's going to seem effortless, like they have this skill down pat, like Carlos Alcaraz has his serve down pat. And I promise you what that means for the patient is a seamless experience rather than one that feels like it's full of friction and full of drama. And that's ultimately what we want. So what we really want is for patients to feel ease rather than friction. Now, I'm going to head across to our Q&A section of the podcast now because these questions keep coming in. And thanks to Tom for sending in his question. Tom's in Sydney. And what he's asking is, how do I get more patients because we're not growing the way I want to be? Now, there's a couple of things I want to discuss in this answer because I don't know Tom and I don't know Tom's practice, but let me give you my best thinking based just on that question. In order to have more patience in your practice, you need to think about marketing, right? So when it comes to marketing, there's 3 R's of marketing: recruit, retain, reactivate. So maybe you do actually need to recruit some new patients through the use of internal marketing combined with external marketing. But if your practice has been around for a while, then chances are you really need to focus on retaining the existing patients to fix the leaky bucket. And there's 3 big leaks in a patient base. The first is your recall system. The second is incomplete treatment not being followed up. And the third one is cancellations and no-shows not being followed up. And so it's really important to get that covered first. Now, the next thing I really want to talk about is your case acceptance, because if you're not getting patients booking in for treatment, then you really need to understand that you can have all these patients coming through, but if there's no treatment coming off the back of that, then there's nothing to fill the books other than exams and cleans, and that's not a very productive way to run your practice. So again, if your case acceptance is low, maybe it's only at 50 or 60%, then we need to work to get that up as well, because busyness will come from both marketing as well as sales, and you need both of those to generate revenue in your business. So the big principle I'd say is, firstly, look at the leaky bucket, make sure you've plugged all those things, and then continue to attract more patients. But then secondly, make sure you're focusing on your case acceptance so that you have the second lever of the revenue engine. All right, gang, so that's it today. Next week, I'm going to talk to you about a walk I took with our dog Kylie and how I'm a really bad dog owner and why the neighbors probably hate me and what that means for you and your practice. We're going to be talking about landmines, so stay tuned. We'll cover that and a whole lot more in the next episode. Till then, take care. See you next week. Hey everyone, it's Jesse here. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the podcast. If you're looking for some more tools, some more insights, some more inspiration to help you create a practice that you love, as well as a life that you love, well, head across to savvydentist.com and check out all the goodies that we have there waiting for you right now.